Hello to everybody. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to this very interesting conference. And it is also very interesting for me because we have this video archive and we keep on having debates about how to make archives, how to collaborate with others and make these kind of connections. And also I'm happy to be here because first time that I was in Warsaw actually was in 1983 when I was traveling together with a Leibach group that they had first tour around Europe that they called the Occupied Europe Tour. Which was important was that they actually went to the east and west. So they were in Poland, in Wrocław, Poznan, Krakow, and Warsaw. And later they continued to Berlin, Hamburg, Hanover, London. So I will use video material. And I will leave sound for a while so that you get a kind of feeling of videos, but then I will switch off the sound so that I can do my talk. I will present our archive that has been developing by the Center for Contemporary Arts in Ljubljana since 2005. And it is now a compendium of projects that seek to research, document, analyze, archive, interpret, present, disseminate, and promote video and also new media art. So it is also available online, so you can actually go to this Diva online and you can watch also videos in low resolution. I will then present two different video practices and at the same time also two different contexts. In Slovenia, which until 1991 was a Republic of Socialist Federative Republic of Yugoslavia, which was neither part of the East nor the West, so it was neither part of the NATO Pact or Warsaw Pact. And it was famous for establishing the Organization of Non-Aligned Countries in the 60s, an economic system of self-management. And both have become an important topic of today. When I will present these two video works, one from 70s and the other from 80s, it could actually seem as a paradox because I will juxtapose the professional usage of equipment from television, national television, on the one side in the 70s, and a very basic innovative usage of low-quality VHS equipment within the frame of the so-called alternative or subculture scene in Slovenia of the 80s. So I will put the first video that is actually presenting how we imagined that the open kind of video should be presented. And we did the exhibition in Ljubljana, in Škuc Gallery, showing how different usage could be.
Kot je misel ujeta v telo, je telo ujeto v prostor. In če poskusimo razbiti plasti spomina, ki jih je ustvaril čas, se izkaže, da telo naseljuje le gib med obema poloma. Prostor prehaja v misel in misel se prikrade v prostor ujeta med signale, kable, svetlobo in senco. Pred nami se zariše kot iluzija prostora, ki izbriše realnost ter nas postavi v čas spomina misli. In kot video spreminja čas, v katerega prostor se prikrade, se s časom spreminja tudi njegova podoba.
Video se v bistvu zelo spremenil. V bistvu sam način produkcije, recimo avtorskega videa, se je blazno spremenil. V začetkih, se pravi v 70-ih letih, je bilo to predvsem stvar televizije, ker nihče od civilov, če se tako izrazim, ni imel dosti dobre opreme, da bi se lahko produciral karkoli takšnega. V 80-ih se je stvar že malo pluralizirala, recimo, ampak še vedno v 80-ih je bila zelo, tako kot v 70-ih, v 80-ih je bil pomemben eksperiment, sama formalna slika, mislim, sama formalna podoba videa. Potem recimo v 90-ih, sploh pa zdaj v tem času, se je zadeva spremenila do te mere, da je ta tehnologija dostopna skoraj vsakemu.
Zdaj živimo v času, ki omogoča slehernemu posamezniku, da se pač posluša tega pač medija. To dejansko pač prinaša pozitivne stvari, po drugi strani pač tudi prinaša te probleme, ki jih pa načeloma prinaša tudi celoten internet. Se pravi, poplava informacij, poplava nepreverjenih informacij in pač ta neka racionalizacija se mi zdi, da se dogaja na vseh nivojih.
Mi živimo v enem času take zelo slabe resolucije. Se pravi, vse, kar vidimo, ponavadi je v bistvu že tukaj zreducirano na neko golo informacijo, pač low resolution, kot je, ne vem, YouTube, karkoli, ali Diva. In iz tega lahko znamo, smo že tukaj se naučili, da lahko znamo iz tega prebrati, kaj je za tem.
Pri tem pa se ni spremenila le podoba videa, temveč je nasičenost časa s podobami, ki iščejo pozornost, pričela spreminjati dojemanje realnosti prostora.
When you just go back to the history 20-30 years ago, you could say you had on the one side art and on the other reality. And then you had all those developments called expanded architecture, expanded theater, expanded cinema, expanded painting, expanded sculpture, whatever, means they tried to approach to reality, knowing they're on the one side and they have, in a way, to identify the one with the other. Now you could say there is already this symbiosis of the both of them. There is no difference anymore, and they have to turn it around to bring back an awareness that media is still just media. That's what I'm saying. I guess in a way we forgot that this kind of ideological charging of reality is based on media.
What is your opinion about Putin?
So the collecting of material for Devastation is actually based on documentary project on video art in Slovenia, which is called Video Document. And it was a first comprehensive overview of 30 years at that time of video art in Slovenia, and was also the first systematic research of video art in Slovenia, and was important in framing terminology and setting theoretical basis for further research. It was followed by curatorial selections under the name Video Spotting, which meant a series of video programs of video production and presentations abroad in the form of exhibitions, screenings, and lectures. This video document was composed by a comprehensive catalog, a CD-ROM website that you can still see, and also this book of essays that gives overview of what was the role of video and what were the events at that time. So I still have one copy. If somebody would like, then can ask me later. We are also doing research programs and educational seminars known under the common title of Archiving Practices that thematize the importance of audiovisual archives, their creation, integration, dissemination, accessibility, and international collaborations. So usually we invite one good practice from one institution, like we had Montevideo, we had Ars Electronica, and ZKM, and also artists who can do with their own archives different things. One of the most important artists in that respect is Dalibor Martinis from Croatia. And we also keep library and mediatheque of international archive collections and also artist video works. So the online video archive that you could already see on the video, and here you can see all the logos of these projects that were actually the framework of our dealing with archive. Our online video archive has a hypertextual database and search engine combined with open access to video, new media artworks. In order to provide representational and research material for curators, artists, theorists, students, and wider interested public, the collection and the archive have been made through the research and attentive observation of video production, followed by analysis and interpretation. It has been created with the help of numerous consultants and talks with artists, curators, and other experts and also international collaborators. So Devastation is based on collecting video documentation within a wider national context and includes artists who work in Slovenia or abroad. Here it needs to be noted that any attempt to build an overall archive is based on the criteria of discrimination and interpretation, which are the result of criticality that inevitably leads to the incompleteness of the archive. Archives significantly contribute to historical cultural consciousness. However, they are in all respects conditioned by ideological assumptions and laws of affirmative discrimination. They fail to present historical events or objects in their entirety, but they are based on cultural relations, which can be clearly identified through an analysis. Despite this incompleteness, and the need for continuous upgrading and improvement of the archives, the procedures for the treatment of the materials need to be clearly defined by a typology of terminology, which creates a cartography of conceptual frameworks within which a video artwork is discussed. This system provides quite straightforward tools for mitigating the contradictions which are inevitable when the system of an archive encounters various artistic approaches. This typology for discussing video material has been defined in collaboration with 7 partners of archives within the platform called Gamma, Gateway to Archives of Media Art, by classifying vocabulary entries, categories, genres, coupled with keywords. When this brings us again to the notion of accessibility, which has sparkled passionate debates and a sort of archive fever about the presentation of media art in the last decade. Here we refer to the artist's right to be acquainted with and to have influence on the context, interpretation, and ways of presentation of their work. Therefore, the task of the archival institution is not only the systematization of documentation and databases and preservation of artworks and knowledge dissemination. It also needs to establish effective communication channels between artists and other creators of audiovisual archives and also of audience. Now I will concentrate on two cases to confront the kind of neo-avant-garde video and media practice by the artist Micha Vypotnik from the 70s with the retro-avant-garde video media practice by the Leibach group in the 80s. So I will change. So we are now in the context of 1970s, and although not openly presenting itself as a repressive ideological state apparatus, television in Yugoslavia in the 70s remained totally uninterested in any kind of change and was therefore an institution beyond the artist's reach. Thus, it came as a great surprise when TV Ljubljana, Television Ljubljana, broadcast Micha Vypotnik's artistic video entitled Videogram 4, which you can watch. It broadcasted during a late night program as a part of experimental programming in 1979, announcing it as a very rare television event or even a new experience, and warning the viewers that any interference or unusual features in the image or tone are part of the program, so do not try to adjust the image on your TV sets. The electronic image was indeed incredibly stratified. It showed all the possibilities of professional equipment at the television, even amazingly transformed and edited for the time. So we have double exposure, solarization, recast, feedback, synthetic color changes, and generating moving shapes. And also the sound that was syncopated, alternately soft and screeching. The artist himself described the process in this video, which took 3 years. So he entered the television studio 3 times with the same 3 protagonists. On the music score for synthesizer and script for their activities, the performers completely filled the 28 minutes recording period with their movements, unarticulated expressions, mimic and body speech in the electronically created field of the video screen. In the 2 years, I repeatedly shooting 3 times, each time using the materials from previous shooting. Under the influence of them, the performers reintegrated themselves into the event, changing their behavior in each subsequent shooting, thus presenting a concept of social situations created by the TV information environment. So Miha Vipotnik actually was the first video artist who succeeded in transmitting professional video technology from institutional television usage into individual. The video equipment used by television, by Yugoslav artists was at that time still at the initial rudimentary stage, and the possibilities of processing and editing were still very limited. Although the latest television equipment was reserved only for new programs and for regular TV, mainly in formation production, the television professionals were not completely familiar with the technical possibilities. So Miha Vipotnik managed to work with it thanks to his enthusiasm and persuasiveness. He researched the characteristic and potential of video technology, the structure and the aesthetic field of the electronic image, and he came up with a more experimental kind of video. He later on became also an external collaborator in television, and he began to introduce the elements of his experimentation into television program, particularly music ones, and he made the first video clip in Yugoslavia for the Slovenian punk band Pankrti in the beginning of 80s. So at the same time, he was the first to obtain postgraduate degree in video art in Ljubljana Academy, and became also the director of four very important international video biennials that took place in Ljubljana in the 80s. But this videogram 4 has another important dimension. Actually, the artist was not planning to make a video out of these events in the studio, but he used this material for kind of intermedia practice. And so he made kind of installation coupled with performance, using also video, cinema, photography, and music. So within these international video festivals, the most important was the first one, 1983. It was very important because in a way it institutionalized video as artistic expression itself. And also it was very important because there was a meeting place of numerous very famous video artists coming to that festival, because during the festival there was a studio and it was the possibility to produce a new work. So during this video festivals, also the next video that I will show was screened. And I have to say that what you will see is this low-quality VHS production, but something similar could be seen during the concerts, which were very performative, of Laibach, also in Poland. see, this was the usage of this VHS. You actually had to think about what to make during shooting, and then what you could combine is the documentary shooting and also the screening on TV sets. So that's why you have. And then the usage of repetition was, of course, very often used. And you have to know that the group Laibach at that time already was forbidden in Slovenia to have any concert, or they were actually forbidden to bear the name Laibach, which is actually the German name for Ljubljana. So when they couldn't work actually in Slovenia, they left for this mentioned European occupied tour. In the 80s, actually, the specific Yugoslav feature was that there were numerous cultural centers. They were called student cultural centers, and they could also do independent video production. One of them was also Academy Film Center in Belgrade, and the other was called Škuc Forum in Ljubljana. So this Ljubljana alternative or subculture scene was important context for all those videos at that time made. And video was important constitutive part of alternative scene, and at the same time also the kind of effect of it. So at that time it was clear that we could not longer speak about video art, but rather about video practice and production. So the intense happenings and what was materially created, and that can still be seen. Although this amateur VHS equipment could not match that owned by television centers, and initial editing was possible only on the spot during filming, it nevertheless had an anticipated influence. Besides Polaroid photography and photocopier, the video was one instant medium which was accessible, cheap, fast, and at the same time not subject to control and censorship. Video projects were linked to rock music, punk, and club events, as well as to multimedia media practices. They were at the same time not also viewed or presented within the frame of something that we call family television, that means at home, but in alternative spaces like the clubs and some alternative galleries. So they were made with an emphasis on the content and message, characterized by interviewing author and documentary material and approach, which was also actually characteristic of music video at the time. So it is a question whether we shall call this video documentary video, art video, or music video. And I especially wanted to show you this because the Laibach group is very well known worldwide, but particularly for their concert appearances and music recordings. But less is known about their visual production, comprising also media performances and videos. And Laibach incorporated appropriation and montage into its art practice, naming it retro avant-garde. It started to make moving images by exploiting the possibilities of video devices at that time, with their techniques of cutting up and re-editing of found footage and layering of images with the chroma key procedures later on. They enabled the use of a parallel embedding of different ideological and cultural codes, sources and iconographic motifs, and symbols with complex referential backgrounds. So this is what I wanted to present. Thank you.